Hi, I'm Mr. Kaplan from the Chaminade College Placement Office, here today with my colleague, Ms. Carolyn Bianco,
Hello.
who works with our college placement team, and she is our financial aid consultant. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Shamana.
Let's start off with a brief introduction, if you can. Could you tell the Chaminade families a little bit about who you are, what your background is, your experience, how you came to college financial planning,
Sure.
anything you feel?
Sure.
Kick it off.
You got it.
All right.
So I have an accounting and finance background. I worked in the financial industry, for over 15 years, and I took a little bit of a break. I had some children, and I started a college financial aid business about 7 years ago. I was planning for my daughter's education, and got fascinated by the whole process. Noticed some major inconsistencies in what one college would offer over another using the same financial information. And I really was trying to zone in on why this was happening and how to make the most of, what I could.
Same student, same GPA,
Correct.
same test scores,
Yes.
sometimes significantly different financial package.
depending on which college you chose. Correct.
Right.
Correct. See, some colleges have larger endowments than other colleges.
Yes.
They have more money to give.
Right.
So.
And that was sort of the genesis of you getting into this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I knew it was a niche, and I knew that I could help a lot of families
Right.
make it more affordable to go to college, to the colleges of their choice.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So when the other counselors and I meet with a student, we go over things like grades, test scores, building lists, Naviance, scattergrams.
Mm-hmm.
For those families that have yet to meet with you and are planning to meet with you, what are some topics and discussions, conversations that you typically have in your meeting about college finance?
Sure. So we go over basically how to apply for financial aid, okay? I go over the forms. There's two forms, the FAFSA form, which is the federal form, and the CSS profile form, which is basically the college endowment money. So when you're talking about the FAFSA, it's federal money. And when you're talking about the CSS profile, you're talking about the college endowment money and what they have to give to families. So we talk about that. We talk about what goes into these forms and how aid is calculated. What counts against you, which colleges give more, why there's a discrepancy in the different amounts, and what you can do to maximize your aid.
At what point do you feel and do you suggest that parents, I assume parents, right? The juniors typically don't
Yeah, the
meet
students.
with you.
Yeah, they
You
can,
can sit this one
but
out.
there's no need.
At what point would you suggest these meetings and these conversations be held?
So planning early is key. So sophomore and junior year are the best times to come meet with me. Sophomore year a little bit better because remember, I shouldn't say remember because I'm not sure if you all know this, but aid is calculated based on prior year's income. Okay, so for juniors, current juniors, their first year in college, they're going to be using 2018 tax return. Okay, sophomores 2019. Okay, so ideally sophomores, because we're still in that year of where if there's some changes that you can make, which some families can, then they still have time to do that. But sophomore, junior years is perfect timing.
That way, correct me if I'm wrong, if you meet during the sophomore and the junior year, is it safe to say that then the students and their families would be better positioned to have a list of schools
Yes.
that are perhaps more realistic
Yes, thank you.
as options where
Absolutely.
they can meet with me and I'll say, you're in good standing for this school. This is a reach. This is very likely, but there's the extra component to it where
Yes.
this is now a viable option for you and your family to.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when I say planning early is key, it's because if you come to me, we're going to figure out what colleges expect you to pay. I'm going to give you all the tools
Right.
to figure it out. So now you're sitting there, you're saying, okay, colleges think I can afford, X amount. Okay, this school is way more than that, and that's not going to work for us. So, you don't want to really waste time seeing schools that you can't afford. So you come see me, we figure it out, you make your list, a realistic list financially, and then you visit those schools, as opposed to bringing your sons to all different schools.
A wish list that maybe.
And then later on finding out, wait, we can't afford this.
Right.
So you want to kind of know before you
Right.
go on the tours is ideally the best time.
So you just gave that example, and I've been part of these conversations too, where families say, "Hey, we were just in Washington D.C. For whatever, and we saw this school, but it's so expensive," and they end up not applying. In your experience, what have you seen so far to be the biggest misconception regarding college tuition versus the family's ability to contribute towards tuition?
Okay. So when you're talking about financial aid, a lot of families are thinking federal aid. And federal aid, yes, it is for low-income families.
Right.
And yes, probably most of people here probably won't qualify. I'm not saying that everybody. For the federal aid.
Right.
But what people aren't thinking about, when you're talking about colleges that cost $75,000, we're not talking about federal money here. We're talking about college endowment money, okay, at these schools. And that's what we talked about, the CSS profile form.
Right.
Okay, so the private schools have large endowments, some of them, and they can meet the need. The difference between what your expected family contribution is, which comes off the FAFSA,
That's from the forms.
and the CSS profile, so what the college cost is. And some colleges will meet 100% of the
Right.
difference. So if the cost of attendance is $75,000 and your expected family contribution is $50,000, you have a $25,000 demonstrated need. There are over 70 colleges that meet 100% of that need. And I think that people just don't realize that. They think, oh, I make too much money, which is the case for a good amount, but it's
yeah.
also not the case for a good amount.
Right.
So that's one of the biggest misconceptions. And the other misconception, I think, is for people to say, either we're never going to qualify for anything, or we can't afford college. Like those are the two.
They're both pretty
Those
common.
are the two
Right.
biggest ones, and,
Right.
and a lot of times they're wrong. And also, what people don't realize is the sibling factor. So your expected family contribution, let's say it's $50,000. Now you have 2 kids in college. Now it's $25,000 for each kid. You just increased your demonstrated need significantly for each child now. So people think that, oh, I didn't get it, I'm not going to fill out the forms, but you don't realize that now you have more than one in.
The circumstance could
totally
change
different
with the
game.
second student in college.
Yes.
When are you available? How can people schedule? What's the best way? So we just provided a quick introduction as to who Carolyn Bianco is, the kinds of things you can expect to discuss in these meetings, when you should come, just logistically. When are you around? How are you
Sure.
available?
So I'm available by email, and I have Sign Up Genius. So all you have to do is I'll send you the link, and then it has all my open appointments. So basically, I'm working Tuesday and Thursday until June 28th, and it's a really simple process. You just click on the time and you put your name in, and that's it. You're good to go. Now I only have about 8 to 10 spots left to the end of the year. But then I'll be picking up again in September.
In September, there will be new availability.
Yes.
Okay.
So I definitely recommend, if you're thinking about meeting
Sure.
with me, I'm going to probably send that calendar out soon.
Mhm.
I'm going to send an email to the sophomore class, and I'll have a link to
A
the
link
Sign
to
Up
the sign-up.
Genius.
Perfect.
And obviously there'll be juniors in September.
Sure.
And I highly recommend seeing me before you are making your list,
Right.
so that you can not waste time seeing schools that
Right.
aren't the right fit financially.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. If you need us, as always, please feel free to contact any member of the college placement team. Good luck.
Thank you.